All right, it's 2 o'clock, so we'll get the show on the road. Good afternoon. Thank you everybody for logging on. This is our Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. We do this every single month. We've been doing it every single month for 2 years. And what is it about? Essentially, we're going to go over the official statistics for Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach real estate markets. Not only the stats, the official stats, but the trends. Where's the market today? Where's the market going? And a lot of analytics, a lot of graphics that we have on the slide deck. And the reason why we've been doing this webinar for now more than 2 years is because of our different Miami leaders that come on to this program. They're the ones that have the boots on the ground. They're the ones that give us that insight, that help all the realtors that are on the Zoom and on watching on social media. And today we're very, very lucky to have our Broward Miami president-elect, Venus Proffer. Venus, how are you doing? Thank you for being here.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's get to the first question I have for you. So, say there's a lot of new realtors that are joining the program or people that want to get more ideas on the market, but I'm going to be a devil's advocate and say, I'm a realtor. I just want to sell houses. Why is it important for realtors to know stats and trends and about the market?
So first off, we're not just selling houses, right? What we're doing is we're educating the consumer. We are the experts in the field. So there's a lot more to our job than just signing a contract and, throwing it in the MLS, as many of us know, especially if you're new. And one of the biggest things is knowing these stats. You can have a much better communication at a higher level with consumers, even if it's an elevator chat. So it's definitely something to keep in mind that's going to better you as a realtor.
Yeah, no, definitely. Excellent. Okay, so let's move along here. This is our agenda that we're going to go over about roughly for the next hour. We're going to go over the official June 2023 statistics. They'll be released to the media. They're being released as we speak. We have multiple news releases. And of course, we're going over Venus's perspectives, more about exactly what Venus said about positioning yourself as an expert and better serving clients. And we got some tools. Looking down the board, across the board, if you guys wanted to go ahead and register for future leveraging stats webinars, we already have the next 2 scheduled. It's going to be Justine Jimenez Garcia in August and then Natasha Tello in September. So you could go ahead and register right now. We will be here, like I said, every single month going over the stats. Okay, this is being recorded. And yes, the number one question that we get here is, can I get this slide deck? And the answer is yes. If you could just go ahead and write your email in the chat box. At the end, I'll take a look at the chat and I'll make sure to email the slide deck this afternoon to you. So if you go ahead and put your email in the chat box, or if you're on LinkedIn, put it in the comment section and I'll make sure to look that afterwards and get it to you. The next important thing that I wanted to say to everybody is, if you have to remember one thing from this presentation, one website, it's this one right here, sfmarketintel.com. We try to make it easier for you in terms of, this is the landing site where we put all of our stats, all of our videos, all of our presentations, the infographics, sfmarketintel.com. That's it. That's all you got to remember, sfmarketintel.com. We are going live. The website should be live as we speak now with June 2023 statistics and also Q2 statistics. Okay, and so these are new graphics that the incredible design team has put together. This is, I'm going to go through 4 different markets, but here's Miami-Dade. These are off June 2023. Showing appointments, that's South Florida showing appointments are up 7%, and you'll see that in all the markets. And here in Miami-Dade, new pending single-family home sales are up 1%. First time they've been positive since November 2021. And then let me move over to Broward here, Venus's neck of the woods. As you can see, yes, South Florida showing appointments are up 7%. And Venus, the question I have for you is showing appointments. Can you talk about why this metric is so important for our industry?
Yeah, so that tells me we're still very active. I mean, our market is still moving. I think some of the reasons for the increased showing appointments is, one, their cash buyers are not doing so many of those sight unseen properties like we saw a year ago. So that's a big deal. So you actually have people still coming to the market now to see it. Also, the buyers are actually wanting to see more properties. So therefore, you're getting more showings. They want to see more of the inventory before making their decision. Unlike last year, you see a property and you need to make a decision that day before it's gone. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And basically, South Florida still has an influx of showings, and that's why, of our buyers rather.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, great points. And then we're gonna get into, okay, so here's Palm Beach County. You can see the other statistics that we found here is pending home sales are up 2% year over year. And then let's take a look at Martin County. Total home sales are up 6%, showing appointments up 7%. This is just a preview of what we're going to see as we get further into this slide deck. Okay, so let's talk about what continues to be a hot topic in real estate is mortgage rates. Last year, very rocky, went up and down. But so far this year has been around 6 to 7%. The last 2 months have stayed around 7%. And so, Venus, the question I had here was, what impact are you seeing from buyers and sellers on the current mortgage rates?
So I think what buyers are realizing is that these rates aren't going to go back to those unrealistic 2% that they saw. And, you know, that's one of the biggest things. They're realizing they're losing out. I actually had a buyer for 2 years and she's like, oh yeah, it'll get better. And guess what? She couldn't afford as much home as was before, and she settled for a smaller home because she kept trying to wait for that. So the prices of the homes aren't exactly going down drastically. That's going to make enough of a difference and impact for the interest rate you're paying. And keep in mind, you can always refinance. And another thing is I'll never forget that when I went to real estate school, my instructor just happened to be a distant uncle of mine. And he said when he went to real estate school many decades before, his instructor said, you'll never see single digit interest rates again. So keep that in mind, keep that for thought, because, you know, I bought in this basically this interest rate years ago, and you know what, you can do it too, because there's definitely several options out there.
Yeah, no, great points. Yeah, I like that story there about the instructor. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Okay, so let's move into the next talking point here is there's been a lot of talk on social media in terms of mortgage rate lockdown. Is essentially the theory that, you know, everybody or the vast majority of homeowners have rates at 3 or 4% because they refinanced before the increase in interest rates. And so these are just some points of arguing against that. And one of the main points is 42% of US homes are owned free and clear. So if they don't have a mortgage, how could they be locked down? So these are just some arguments that go against that theory. Mm-hmm. And then, so, you know, maybe it's time for realtors to get more creative. And these are just some of the options with interest rates being at 7%. You know, you got a 2-for-1 mortgage buy down program, assumable loans. You could buy mortgage points. Venus, are you seeing more of these used nowadays?
I've seen people actually asking, the buyers asking for the seller to pay for that buy down, which is really good. The 2-on-1, it's a good way, rather, instead of asking for closing costs, ask for that. So that loan is more affordable for that buyer to get in. Also, I've seen where direct banks, actually I learned of this today, that a direct bank in only Broward County, believe it or not, she said they have a program where you can get a property with 10% down or even 0% down. And I was like, not our condos. And she's like, no, our condos too. So there are a lot of creative lenders rather out there, and this is a direct bank, by the way, that have options. So you really have to make sure that you're giving all the opportunities and all the different options out there to your consumer, so they have a good idea of what they can do, because the home buying process is not unaffordable if you actually know some more creative solutions to it.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, excellent. I didn't know about that.
I didn't either.
So
I'll get you the info for sure on this sponsor here for sure.
Definitely. Okay. All right. So here are some Miami market fundamentals. I think Venus talked about it earlier in terms of growth, migration gains. We're still seeing the job growth, the wealth influx, the cash buyers, and the global buyers. But I wanted to switch over to Fort Lauderdale, added Fort Lauderdale to this. And, same story there, rising income, the economy. And Venus, the question I have for you is, for maybe some of the viewers that are just Miami focused, but can you talk about the allure of Broward and Fort Lauderdale real estate and why the region is attracting more home buyers from maybe from high tax, high density places?
So people are always attracted to Broward County. As a native, I'll give you a couple of the main reasons I believe that will always remain on that top of that list. One, of course, like you mentioned, the remote access for people to be able to live in paradise, where, by the way, our local temperature is normally 76 degrees on average or 66 degrees in the winters. So that's pretty amazing. Also, we have top beaches. We are one of the top beaches globally, and one of the biggest events that come to Fort Lauderdale Beach is Tortuga Fest for the past 10 years. I've actually volunteered 6 out of those 10 years to help that event, and it's a great event, a great attraction. Of course, we have 300 miles of navigable waterways in Fort Lauderdale, which is why they call us Venice of America. So boaters love our area. That's one of the reasons I love our area. And we're also one of the top foodie places. Did you know that? I love food. I've been a foodie since I was 17 years old. But one of the biggest reasons, and the primary reason I think that Broward stays top of mind, is because we are in the center of the Tri-County area. So let's face it, we've got things like our Sawgrass Outlet Mall. We have Las Olas as far as nightlife. We also have major inner Miami soccer. We also have the Florida Panthers, which is huge. And because we're right here, you also have Palm Beach just to the north of us with Clematis Street and Pineapple Grove and some great golf courses throughout. And then, of course, we have Miami-Dade County, where you have the Miami Heat. You have, what was my other team? I'm drawing a blank. I don't know. We have several teams. Oh, Marlins. And we also have, of course, Coconut Grove. You have Wynwood. And by the way, Right Line attracts us to both of those counties. So we are the center hub, and with the Fort Lauderdale National Airport, which is so convenient and one of the biggest ports with the most attraction and traffic rather, I think Broward just makes the most sense. And that's why I've remained a native here.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, right in the middle of everything. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so let's move on to the next slide here. This is an ongoing statistic for Miami because CoreLogic every quarter or so they put together the highest home price growth of any U.S. city, and Miami has been at the top of this list here for many months now. Miami's the strongest annual home price growth of any U.S. city. And then, so let's take a look at some other statistics here. These are from Knight Frank, and they put together top global sales, 10 million and up. Ultra Prime, which is 25 million and up. And you can see where Miami ranks in terms of New York, and they grouped together Palm Beach and Broward. And you can see this is, very important statistics here for the market. And then let's talk about migration. We put migration to Miami, but you could also say migration to South Florida. This is out-of-state driver's licenses, and these are the top markets that we've seen in the data, the top feeder markets of South Florida, California, New York, New Jersey, and they're the ones that have the high taxes and high density. So we're still seeing that. And then here's the statistics in terms of inbound migration. This is from U.S. Postal Service data. So you look at different sources. Again, South Florida ranks #1 there. Okay, and so this is a statistic from our chief economist, Gay Corortone. She does a great job in terms of digging deep into the data, and she looked at what the household income of the people moving to South Florida, and take a look at the new households moving to Miami-Dade. Their average adjusted gross income, $229,300. Palm Beach is at $242,200, and Broward is $102,600. And Venus, the question I had here is, do you talk about this, this wealth influx, especially Broward and how, you know, it could help the market in the future.
So having a higher gross income, that's going to help our market tremendously. It's going to be a trickle down effect because that buyer may be able to, because they're coming into our market with that higher wealth, they're going to be able to afford maybe the homes that our current homeowners here may not have had the ability to, because they've got a little more price out of that market. So it's going to still help the inventory. But in addition, it's really going to have the trickle down effect of spending with our goods and services throughout the economy. Maybe more money spent on landscaping, maybe more money spent on, you know, entertainment. So that's always a good thing, having a higher wealth come into our market and keeping us moving. And for the many reasons we mentioned before, you know, they're going to still want to come here. So it's definitely important to know that there's a big effect. We want them. You know, those boats, you know, they need captains and owners, you know.
Definitely. And most of the boats are in Broward County, that you were mentioning earlier. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, here's another statistic that get used often, but hey, it's important to mention: more than 1,000 new residents per day in Florida. And these are statistics from the Florida's Office of Economic Demographic Research. And you could see their projections. That's not going to slow down anytime soon. So that's important for real estate to know that. Okay, and here's a look that we had done this earlier, this graphic put together earlier, but it's Miami-Dade County population, how it distributes, and you could see where the population has gotten older, and how that could impact home sales in the future. Okay, so let's have some fun right now. This is we do this every single year. It's our international study. And so I wanted to see if everybody who's on the chat, if you want to play along. We do not have any prizes, I don't believe, no prizes, but if you do get these correct, you will know that you know, you get a pat on the back, I guess. But yes, if you could put it right in the chat, what do you think is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? How many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida? And what percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? So we'll see if anybody has the answers to those later. Okay, so let's go over some metrics. Median sale price. Where are the stats for June 2023? But first, here's a look, just historical. You could see how much Miami-Dade, South Florida real estate, it builds generational wealth. This is a graphic that we put together. If you held onto a home, you know, from 1994 to 2022, it would have appreciated almost $500,000. And here's another statistic that was by Goldman Sachs Global Investment Research. They studied all the markets. Look at the one market, Miami, Florida, the outside of Baltimore. Baltimore barely gets a blip, but that's the forecast of home price change and how we're the only ones to be positive. Okay, so here, June 2023 statistics. Median sale prices go up again. These are being released to the media today, and you can see single family are up 7%. Condos are up about 2%. Broward County, same story. You're going to see across the board. They are up, you know, not up 10, 12% as we were seeing last year, but still at a number that you want to see, 4%. And then here's for Palm Beach, up about 1% for single family, and then condos up 4%. And here's a look at historically where Miami, the median sale prices have shifted in Miami. And we have also put together for Broward. You can see the rise, incredible rise since 2010. This is Broward. And here's a look at Palm Beach. Again, same story, incredible rise since 2010. Here's a look. One of the topics that we'll probably get into is in terms of inventory. It's still, yes, it's increasing year over year, but it's still not at the historical average. We still have a long way to go to get to the inventory where we would like to see. And then, so here's a look at how Miami compares to different global cities in terms of this is 1 million and up. And here's another thing another statistic that also backs it up in terms of South Florida, where it compares to, hey, San Francisco, San Diego, LA. Okay, so here's a look at this market compared to 2005 to 2008. There's a lot of questions, I'm sure, in the chat. We've had this question before in terms of, hey, are we going to have another 2008? And the data says no. And here's everything that backs it up, because if it was going to be another 2008, we'd be seeing high foreclosures, we'd be seeing high bankruptcies. And that's not, here's actually more data that shows where foreclosures are and where credit scores are. Okay, and so here's a statistics in terms of, not statistic, but I put together why would you buy a home now? And, exactly what Venus had said earlier in terms of, yes, rates are at 7%, but you could refinance in the next recession. All right, so I want to get to the next metric, which is closed sales. Where are they in June 2023? And you can see, yes, they are down in comparison to last year. But last year, you got rates were at a different point. Let's look at Broward. Venus, here's Broward closed sales. They are down 14% from a year ago. But last year there was, rates were lower and we had more inventory. Does it look like the Broward market is normalizing maybe after two historically incredible years?
So to me, yes. I think it is becoming more stable. And I know that a lot of people have said, well, it's still going to come down some. It might, but that's just a temporary thing, slightly. And even I read an article about, the bubble market yesterday. Actually, a colleague had sent it to me. And I was like, this is really interesting. All those people that thought, oh, it's going to be a bubble. I'm waiting. Well, they said it's not happening. It's just not happening down here. South Florida is a very unique area as opposed to the country. As a matter of fact, we were just at a conference, and I know that some of the Miami professionals and leaders had gone up to them and said, hey, how come you didn't include Miami in those stats? And he said, I can't, because it would skew the entire thing, because we are so unique down here, because our numbers are up so high for the influx. So I don't think that this is something that's going to be, a negative effect. I think it's a temporary thing and more of a stabling out, which is great, because it's giving those buyers that were afraid to buy the chance to say, hey, you better get back in it right now, because rates might be a little low for the next month or so. But I even read something that Gay had stated too, that, the interest rates come down just a little bit. That's going to spark our summer buys, and that's going to increase it. I know she mentioned that. I was like, I think she's right, which is good, because summer is usually customarily a slower time of the months for us here in South Florida over the years.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, because rates have been at 7% for the last 2 months. So what if we were to drop to a 5%? Exactly, great point. Yeah. And so here's a look at Palm Beach. Palm Beach only down 3% compared to last year. That's for total sales. All right, let's talk about the name of the program is Leveraging Market Stats. So let's help our realtors leverage. In one way, this is a great tip from Natasha Teller, was, hey, use Market Watch on Matrix. You're able to, most real estate statistics are backward, but this lets you know what's happening in the last 7 days. Venus, do you use Market Watch on Matrix? And maybe are there other ways that members or realtors could leverage, these micro data?
Yes, absolutely. I do use Market Watch. The one thing I like about Market Watch is you can actually, instead of just county zip, like it says, you can actually narrow it down to the neighborhood too, which gives you a nice snapshot of the entire area. So it's important for you to have that extra knowledge, whether it's 7 days, like it says, it could be a broader month as well. But there's two other systems that I actually like that the Miami dashboard has. One is Remine, another one is Rebo Gateway that I actually just learned about. You think all these years we know them all. We never know all these products and services. They're constantly adding them. I actually get a little, scared of it. So I actually took a course the other day and I found out it was the first time they taught that course last week. And it was eye-opening. I'm like, there's this simple stuff. It's right here, another great tool. And that was ReboGate. So I learned about that, and both that and Remind have a great way to target market, find out a good sell score for the area. So you're not sending 100 mailers to the whole neighborhood. You're sending it to those target marketed sellers that are most likely have a high sales score. So that's going to be a lot more profitable for you. It's expensive to do even mailing. So it's important that we use the resources that we have and the continued resources that are all over the Miami dashboard to help us.
Yeah, no, I love it. Yes. I wrote that down, Rebo Gateway, and also Remind. So yes, exactly what Venus says, take advantage of your free included Miami services. And we got some more for you right here. This is another free Miami service for Miami realtors. It's SunStats. It allows you to create incredible infographics. I'm going to show you another way you guys could use our zip code reports. We have uploaded right now on sfmarketintel.com. I might say that one or two more times, sfmarketintel.com. We have second quarter zip code reports, city reports, every single zip code in South Florida, every single city is there. You can find it under, you go to sfmarketintel.com, it'll be under quarter two. And then of course we have RPR. This is a look at what type of data you could pull with RPR, which is a free Miami service. Here's a look at SunStats. Again, it is free.
If I may, Chris, want to let you know, with that SunStat, I've actually printed that and used that in a listing presentation. I think it's very powerful, and it helps you when you have those sellers are like, well, there's mine's priced well. Well, look, there's, 91 active properties. Do you want to be a part of the 91 or you want to be a part of the 58 that closed? So I've actually used those. It's a very simple way to do it. So the SunStats are great. It's simple, and I'm not even techie, and I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it, as I say.
That's awesome. Yes. Okay, so those are just a couple of tools. So let's take a look at new pending sales, best indicator of future closed sales, and take a look at single family in Miami-Dade County. They're up 1%. Yes, it's nominal, but it's the first time pending sales have been positive since November 2021. So that's a good sign. And when you're looking for next month, when we come together to do the next month statistics, total sales, or at least single family sales, will likely be up. Here's a look at Broward pending sales. These are the statistics for June 2023. And here's Palm Beach. Single family have now turned positive. And you could see maybe the market beginning to shift there, especially in terms of single family. All right, let's talk about dollar volume, sum of all sale prices. And these numbers always boggle my mind. You're talking about $2 billion in Miami-Dade, Broward, 1.56 billion, Palm Beach, over $2 billion. Venus, can you talk about the economic impacts of real estate and of a typical home sale, and just how many industries are really impacted from the industry that we're in?
So that's a plethora of industries. To me, that I can answer in 3 stages. The first stage, of course, we all know is the inspection process, right? You have your termite inspector, your home inspector, your seawall inspector, your elevator inspector, your pool guy, right? You have many of those that are going to help you at the beginning of the process. And of course, the title agent and the closing agent and the mortgage. Then after you close, the second layer and stage, I would say, is like your movers, your landscapers. These are companies, painters, and of course, our favorites, Lowe's and Home Depot. God knows I went to those stores almost on a daily basis. Thankfully, they were very close to my home when I first bought many years ago. And then the third stage to me is the ones you don't even think about, like the doctors they're going to need because they just moved into the area, the daycare, maybe the hairstylists, the salons, the dry cleaners. I don't know about you, but I've been in this a long time, and I find it very helpful that you have that entire referral network system ready to help your buyers, because guess what? They're going to think of you when they need anything, and they're never going to forget that you're their realtor that is the source of the source, as one of our leaders tells us and teaches us. But that really makes you a better, knowledgeable, and highly sought after realtor. As one of my customers said, you're the GOAT, and that was the best thing I ever heard in my life.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I wrote that down. You are the source of the source.
That's actually, I have to give credit to our chief legal counsel, Florida Realtors, Joanna Watkins. That's what she tells us, to stay out of legal trouble.
Okay, I like it. Yes, that's very good. Very good. Okay, great job right there, Venus. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at months of supply. This is another important metric. Typically 6 to 9 months is a balanced market, so that means buyers and sellers, it's balanced for both sides. So if it's less than 6 months, that's a seller's market. If it's more than 9 months, it's a buyer's market. Obviously, pretty much the entire country and South Florida, we've been in a seller's market for a long time. Our inventory is slowly growing, but still in the sellers. But you know what? It could be different if you break it down by, a specific zip code, a specific city, a specific price range. And this is a calculation that you guys will receive when I will send you this a PowerPoint. Just make sure to put your email. I know some have already put it in the chat box, but after I will make sure to write down all the emails, and I'll send you the PowerPoint. Okay, so what are the stats in Miami-Dade County for months of supply? Total, all properties is 4.3 months. So again, it's less than 6. So we're seller's market, single family and condos. And actually Miami-Dade has more inventory than the other 2 counties. As we go to Broward, you can see the difference. Broward has less inventory. All properties is 3.1 months. Single family is just 2.7. And yeah, this is one of the questions I have for you, Venus, in terms of Broward inventory still at historic lows. We need more inventory, right? Because if Broward had more inventory, we would have more sales, right?
That's what we would hope, right? If it was just that easy, just give us more inventory. We just sell them all. No worries, guys. Just come on in, everybody. Come to Fort Lauderdale. Come to anywhere in Broward. We got you. Actually, I wish it was that easy, but yes, we do need more inventory, and I'll tell you why. A couple of reasons. One is, keep in mind, our sellers, let's say I have the seller, right? They're moving, but not all of our sellers want to move out of Broward County. They may be downsizing. So that's taking the ability, if they're going to buy another property, that's taking away from somebody else that may need to either move into this area or starting to move, and they want that starter home. Right. So that's one of our issues and why we need more inventory. 2, a lot of the people, as we've already mentioned before, kind of is the same reason, because our state was fortunate to remain essential in real estate, and we had a lot of our services still open. Thank you to the RPAC major investors that helped fight that and tell that government that this is what we need. Because of that, we were able to get a lot of people to realize, hey, if I can work remotely, why don't I live in paradise? Why don't I have, like you mentioned earlier, less dense? I could go, they don't always go to the beach, but if you had a property on the water, you can go in your boat and go boating. So getting outdoors and fresh air was a huge thing. So I still think we continue to have those buyers as an influx into our market that want to just live a better life. I mean, I'll tell you 2 things. One, I had a buyer once in Broward County that had a beautiful new construction home in Miramar a long time ago. And he says, I want to move to East Pompano. And he went from there to an older single family home. I'm like, well, why would you want to do that? He says, because the 45-minute drive from my work from east to west in the traffic to get to my family each day and then 45-minute back is not worth the time away from my family. And I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful. So there's a lot of different reasons people are moving. They're always, but that's, again, staying within the county is going to be another reason that you're going to need more inventory. As more of our millennials decide to not live at home and are ready to make that purchase. And we have a lot of millennials. I saw most of our buyers are millennials and Gen X's, it looks like in one of your slides. That's huge. There's still a lot of people buying, and some of the Gen Xers and baby boomers are still upgrading too, to maybe bigger homes. Maybe now they're having more of their grandchildren, stay. You never know what's going on. But yeah, it's definitely great to see that we have a little bit more month supply, maybe, but always need more, and that makes, because it's still a very competitive market. We're supposed to have, I think it's over 6 months to actually be an average market, if I recall, but 3.1 as you're showing is very low.
Yeah, it is very low. And maybe what we had talked about earlier is if mortgage rates are able to drop down to 6 or 5%, maybe that would encourage more homes to hit the market. So okay, so here's a look at Palm Beach. Total all properties 3.3 months. Again, it's low, and you could compare it. You can see how Miami-Dade has more inventory than the other two counties. All right, so let's take a look at luxury. In this case, defined as 1 million and above, and you can see the months of supply are rising there in luxury at 10.1 months. But as we've talked to brokers or such as Ron Sheffield, he talked about how 10.1 months, that's normal, that's fine for the luxury market in terms of, so they might have a different way to judge months of supply. And here's Miami-Dade in terms of if you were to break it down by price range. And for instance, let's go to luxury condos is 12.2 months. Hey, that's a buyer's market. Luxury condos 600 to $1 million, that's in the balanced range, that's 7.2. So yes, overall we're in a seller's market, but it could differentiate if you were to do it by price range or if you do it by cities. And here are the cities. So every quarter we put these together. Big thanks to our graphics team. I want to shout out Bolivar. He helped me update these graphics here. So these are for Q2 2023. These are the hottest markets in terms of months of supply, the lowest months of supply, most in demand. For Miami-Dade single family is Miami Gardens, only 1.6 months, and Kendall's at 1.6. So let's go to Venus's neck of the woods, Broward, single family months of supply. Margate checks in at number 1, tied with from Pembroke Pines and Sunrise at 1.4. And then Davie for condos. Venus, on this one here, any of these Broward cities or neighborhoods that you'd like to talk about, or anything that pique your interest with these?
So most of what I'm looking at these cities on our month supply here, those are predominantly on a little bit further on the west side, which realistically usually have a little bit better pricing, right? We can kind of, in our area in Broward, it's all about your proximity to the beach, right? To the ocean. So it's kind of nice that we still have some affordability, and I'm glad to see some months, and I'm surprised Davie's on top of the list because that's all huge with our colleges, right? And maybe to even see in this time of the year, maybe that was like the beginning of June. I don't know, Chris, but I would think there's less going on right now. Everybody continues to get to the August classes. But yeah, it's nice to see some decent inventory in some of our areas. But the area I find interesting, because I do a lot of all of Broward County. I've done business in every single, I've transactioned a deal in every single city, right, of Broward County over the years. And I predominantly a little more on the east side, right, because I know those high-rise beaches. And one of the little cities that you won't see a lot on here is Lauderdale by the Sea. It's a small, quaint town, okay? Their logo is relax, you're here, okay? And the thing about that, people like that laid back, vibe that they have. But because it's a very small area in the beach community, it's highly sought after, but it's hard to find property that's at a reasonable price. I will tell you a quick story on a customer that I had in town last week that specifically wanted, that area, a couple of, buildings in the nearby area. She taught me something. And she told me that, Venus, in all of the country, there's nowhere, now this is her words, not mine, I haven't done the research. So there's nowhere where I can own a condo on the beach, look at the ocean, and I can walk across the street and I can have restaurants and shopping and Publix. I can have my grocery store. She says, nowhere that I know of. So the walkability in one block from live entertainment on the weekends, right? So it's just one little area, but I thought that was very interesting that we may have that uniqueness that we just take for granted. We don't even think about that, living here year round. And I'm sure there's more pockets of that have some unique features, but we definitely have some good walkability in our areas.
Yeah, I love that story. Yes. We need her on the marketing team over here. That's a great way to really show what makes South Florida different than other markets. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so here's a look at Palm Beach, the hottest cities in demand here. Royal Palm Beach Village for single family and Green Acres for condos. Here's a look at Martin County further north. Again, these are all available on sfmarketintel.com. You could download these graphics, use them, co-brand them. Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at our active inventory. Very important statistic as we want to see these numbers rise. And actually, Miami-Dade went down a little bit of a surprise. And that's mostly because single family inventory went down this month. So that kind of pulled the number down. But Broward and Palm Beach, single family up 20% year over year. But again, normally these numbers, Broward should be at more than 12,000, and Miami-Dade should be at 15,000. So that's just an example of how much more inventory it needs to go. Okay, median percent of original price received. You know how about what percent to list price, and this has not been an issue. Never been an issue here in South Florida. Always around 100%, and you can see pretty much right there, 97%. And you can see in 2022, the numbers went off the page. So, if we could put more than 100%, it probably would in those days. But thankfully, the market has, normalized and stabilized, as we said. Okay, so let's go to median time to contract. How many days does it take to come to terms in South Florida? For June 2023, and you can see it takes 30 days to come to terms in Miami-Dade, Broward at 22, and Palm Beach at 26. And those have risen over the last year. All right, so let's recap some of what we've talked about. We've talked about how Miami active listings are up. You could put South Florida active listings are up year over year, but still down in terms of pre-pandemic or where it should be. Mortgage rates, our chief economist, Gabe Corriton, forecast rates as low as 6% through September. So that'll be great news. We've already talked about that, if that could happen. And the sales are down because of comps to historic 2022. And South Florida prices continue to rise. By the way, I saw the National Association of Realtors, their press release came out today. National prices are down again. And again, how Venus mentioned earlier, we're different. Our prices are rising, where nationally they are going down, at least the last month. All right, so let's get back to the global study. Let's see who answered them correctly. The first question is, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Answer is Argentina. Did you have that right, Venus?
I didn't play. I already knew the answer. I've seen that one before.
Yes, so let me go in the chats. Yes, actually, the Irina Kondratiev, hopefully I pronounced that correct. She is correct right out of the box. Argentina, great job there. There was other guests for Brazil and Colombia, Venezuela. So yes, great job, Irina. With Argentina, yes, Lionel Messi, he won the World Cup. He came to Miami, and yes, Argentina is #1 in South Florida. How many countries purchase real estate in South Florida? The answer is 54. And by the way, you could get all these statistics at our international study, which is available at miamirealtors.com/global. And I was going back to the chat. Someone put 35. Lucio Gomez put 5 countries. Jeannie put 15. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, great guesses there. So it's 54. And let's go to the third question. What percent of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? 53%. I don't think anybody had that. 53%. And you could see, look at who's number two. Orlando's number two, and it with only 10%. So it really shows you the power of international sales here in South Florida. Okay, so let's get into our tools and resources. We talked a lot about this already, but wanted to emphasize. SunStats, we talked about, Venus talked about how she uses it and how it's a great free Miami service, SunStats, available on the gateway. We haven't talked about this. We have co-branded materials.
I did.
Oh,
Those are
that's right.
actually where I got some of my products. I forgot to mention. That is in your marketing at the very bottom. It says co-branded, and most of my top 20 I talked about for Broward is on there. So definitely use those things if you're selling Broward County. Sorry.
Oh, I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Venus. Yes, we have that there. We also have Photify. Again, this is a free Miami service for Miami realtors. You just have to register. Here's the website to register, but essentially it gives realtors on the go templates. If you're in an open house, we already put the template there. You just have to pop in the picture and your information will show up at the bottom. Again, it's just a simple process where you have to register. We also, by the way, have classes if you need more information on Photify. And this is an example of the reports that you will see on sfmarketintel.com. These are the static reports. We have posted these for, again, every city and every zip code. You should have those there. Market focus infographics, we do videos, we do reports. You'll be seeing these again on sfmarketintel.com. We mentioned this as zip code and city reports. We do this every single quarter. You should be able to download. You can pull any zip code that you want. sfmarketintel.com. We talked about realtor RPR. How it's important. We haven't mentioned this. If you guys need all the Miami members, all the realtors out there, if you need help on Photify, you need help on SunStats, you need help on RPR. The trainers put on classes every single day. Here's their email. Here's the phone number. You could sign up for classes, and they'll help you out. Okay, and these are the metrics. The final metrics wanted to get to you. These are from Realtor.com. Cross market demand. What is cross market demand? It's basically looking at which markets from out of state are looking at your market. And so, no surprise, New York. The Atlanta area, you have Illinois, LA, the top markets looking at Miami-Dade. Let's go to Broward. And here's the list of out-of-state markets that are looking at Broward County listings. Venus, how can realtors leverage this data to potentially get more sales and listings?
So I had learned about one of our products called Proxio many years ago, and you put up a free profile. It's a free thing, and you can actually connect with the agents in those areas. So you can kind of target it. So I can even advertise my listing on there and ask them to please share it. So I think it's really an interesting way to reach out of state agents that, if that's our hotspot that they want to come down here, and then you can help them, help them look better. Hey, by the way, I know about a listing in, Fort Lauderdale. You may not have known about it, or out in Margate, it's moving, So it is something I had heard about in the past. Yes, I need to update my profile, I'm sure. But it is a great tool to use to help. And I think the more you know, the better. There's so many services. It's just really take the time. Don't let it overwhelm you. Take one class at a time, master that, and then go on to the next class in another week or so. Don't kill yourself to learn them all, because then you're just setting yourself up for failure. I can't do it all either. So definitely Proxio, I think, is a good one.
Yeah, no, that's great tips. Great. I'm sure we've helped out a lot of members here, and that's another great one. Broward County. Okay, so let's take a look at Palm Beach County. Same story here. What this one really intrigues me is the number of New York counties that are on this list for Palm Beach. Incredible. All over New York, New Jersey. They love Palm Beach. And then here's a look at Martin County. Davidson County from Tennessee snuck into the list. I would say very similar market, right, to Martin County, Stewart, that type of small town outdoor lifestyle. And then, so here's my information. Here's my email. And here's a look at our social media. And Venus, thank you so much, Venus. You did an incredible job. I think we helped out a lot of members on the call and on social media. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And keep in mind, guys, some of those stats and things that they share, those are great tools to put on your Instagram, your Facebook, your business page. You don't have to make it hard. They're giving it to us. Just post it, do it on a weekly basis for all the different stuff. So it's there to help us. We want to look better.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Bye, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Venus. And we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody, for logging on. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you.